quickly, without thinking too much about it, tell me how you're feeling right now. Chat box, please. Type up how you're feeling. I see Shatil is saying she is excited. That's my sister, so Shatil, go away. Tahia says she's also excited. I'm going to say I'm a little nervous. Young people are very hard to please these days. Lots of excitement happening around the room. I'm going to time us. So 2 more minutes. Someone's feeling okay. They're looking forward to it. That's okay. Okay is actually a good place to be. Better than not okay. Curious. That's a good one. Keeping an open mind. I see there's a lot of happiness. Somebody agreed with me. They're also nervous. Nasif, yes. Have we heard from everybody? Intrigued and intimidated at the same time. That's Shayan Shafi. That's a very nice introspection, Shayan, that you're intrigued. But I don't know why you're intimidated. The topic can sound a little, I can see that. But hopefully by the end of the session, we can answer your intrigue and take away the intimidation. Optimistic. We need more of that going around. So thank you, Sabah. I like that some people are saying thrilled. That puts a lot of pressure on me. So thank you for that. If I weren't nervous already, now I'm definitely nervous. I want to take a bunch of happy, excited people and disappoint them. Excited with a hint of anticipation. Tasnim. Lots of good feelings going around. We have 5 more seconds and then আমার কথা কিছু বোঝা যাচ্ছে না? আমার কি শোনা যাচ্ছে? All right, that's the end. So খুবই ভালো লাগলো দেখে যে আমরা সবাই এত excited. I hope that the session, we can keep this excitement going forward, and শেখার জন্য excitement, একটু nervous, একটু anticipation, পুরোটাই খুবই দরকার আছে. We'll come back to this and see আমাদের সেশনের শেষে আমাদের কেমন লাগছে. Why is my okay? So this is why আমি বলেছিলাম সবাইকে একটু কাগজ কলম নিয়ে বসতে. So grab your pen, grab your paper, and আমি দুটো ছবি আঁকতে বলছি. Draw a doctor and draw a nurse. You have 2 minutes, and once you're done, I want you to raise your hand, and you can show your artistic work on video. So go ahead, grab your pen, grab your paper, and start drawing a doctor and a nurse. আমি দেখছি সবাই খুবই মনোযোগ দিয়ে ছবি আঁকছে. Rupa, are you drawing as well? You can participate. Just because you're part of the organizers doesn't mean that you'll have to miss out on all the fun. হয়ে গেলে, you have 1 more minute. শেষ হয়ে গেলে, please raise your hand and you can volunteer to show off your work. আমরা একটু কয়েকটা দেখবো. You have 20 more seconds. It doesn't have to be exhibition worthy. Tahir, will you please check someone's having sound issues? সবারই কি একই ইস্যু হচ্ছে? আমার কথা কি শোনা যাচ্ছে না বা বোঝা যাচ্ছে না?
I have personally communicated with her. I think এটা internet problem
or ওখান থেকে ইস্যু হচ্ছে. I see Sayada Nujhat Jabin হাত তুলেছে. Turn your video on please and show us your artwork.
I can't draw those, so mine are like matchsticks painting, but
কোনটাকে?
So this is my doctor, cartoonist doctor.
কোনটাকে সেটা কি বোঝা যাচ্ছে?
এই যে আমি এই জন্য হচ্ছে কি
ও আচ্ছা,
stethoscope
হচ্ছে for the doctor.
হ্যাঁ, আর ওর মাথার উপর আমি লিখে দিয়েছি ওর নার্স.
Oh nurse, all right, thank you.
Drawing.
Thank you, Nujhat. I see Ridwan has raised his hand as well.
কই ছবি ভাই? ভাই ছবি কই?
এই তো ছবি. I see a doctor and a nurse. খুবই সুন্দর হয়েছে. খুবই ভালো হয়েছে, থ্যাংক ইউ। এত তাড়াতাড়ি এতখানি এত আর্টিস্টিক এক্সপেরিয়েন্স আমি তো ভাবতে পারিনি। শায়ান হাত তুলেছে। Shayan, we can show off your work, please. I'm trying to spotlight যাদেরকে আমি নাম বলছি, right? দেখা যাচ্ছে তো?
Yeah, this was a really sad attempt, but here is my doctor and my nurse.
Okay, so your doctor has the stethoscope as well, and the nurse is the one with the hat. Yep. All right, thank you, Shayan. I see Saba binte Khorshid. I might not be able to ask everybody, so don't feel bad.
Oh, well, this is my doctor and this is my nurse. And
they look like anime characters. That's some intense drawing there. Thank you, Saba.
Thank you.
I'm going to. Shurubita has raised her hand. Okay, go ahead, Shurubita. Show us your work.
Hi, Apu. Eta hocche left one hocche doctor and right one hocche nurse.
This is honestly some amazing artwork from everybody. I am just blown away. Thank you, Shurubita. Shatil, go ahead.
Thank you. I do.
Shatil, tomar dekha jacche na because of your background.
Oh, okay.
So I'll
okay,
come
somebody
back to
else
you.
can go for it.
Yes,
yeah.
I ask Maisha Azad. Do you want to show off your work?
So this is the doctor and the nurse.
Wonderful. I like how everyone's choosing stethoscope to show who their doctors are. Tasnim.
So this is the drawing that I have drew. I left them faceless intentionally so that I can show both genders, can be both nurses and doctors.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that, Tasnim. I can, once I've called out your name, if you could put your hand back down, otherwise দেখা যাচ্ছে আমি হয়তো বা একই মানুষকে আরেকবার ডেকে ফেলবো। Nilima, you've raised your hand. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong.
This
Nilima.
This
there
one.
You are.
And that's my nurse.
Oh, they're adorable. এত artistic হারে কোথা থেকে চলে আসলো? This is amazing. Good job, everybody. আমি একটু দেখে আসি আমাদের কারা আর হাত তুলে রেখেছে। That was you, Fauzia. Fauzia Nupur, if you could show off your work.
This is my doctor and this is my nurse.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. I think with that, we've come to the end almost. No, we've got Nasif.
I'm actually a pretty bad drawer, so if you can see.
No, because you've got the blur filter on, so it's blurring
Oh.
your work. So I'll
One
come
moment,
back to you.
please.
While you're fixing that, Labonno.
So here is my doctor and here is my nurse. The guy is the nurse actually, and the girl is the doctor.
That's awesome. Thank you. I think with that, we can. Tahia, did I ask you to show yours? Dekhiye phelo.
No, it's better if I don't show because I have insulted sticks with my drawing.
Stop. Oh, stop it.
No,
Dekhiye
seriously.
phelo. I want
It
to see what an
doesn't-
insulted sticks looks like.
It doesn't even have a face. And everybody, and I don't know, the common notion that doctors have stethoscopes. এটাই আমার মাথায় আসে।
I didn't think of that either. So there you go.
My background happens to be pharmacy, but still আমার মাথায় আসে না it's a doctors wear stethoscopes. So please help me.
Wake up, Tahia. Shatil, are you ready again? Go ahead.
Yeah, I also drew stick figures. So this is my doctor.
We took your stethoscope.
That's this. Yeah, that's the stethoscope. I know it looks weird, but it is what it is. And this is my nurse. She's wearing the cap and she has
Hate
the
ki?
injection.
Oh, half the
Syringe.
syringe. Okay. I like the
Yeah.
toes. Thank you, Shatil.
Thanks.
I think with that, I've asked everybody that have raised their hand. Oh, Noor Jahan. Go ahead. Let's see how our organizers are doing. Rupa, you've got your hand raised. So I'm hoping. Okay.
তুমি মিউটে আছো আর ওই ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডের কারণে ইয়েটা দেখা যাচ্ছে না আর্টওয়ার্কটা দেখা যাচ্ছে না
What? Okay, let me blur it out.
That's okay. There you go. Oh, আরেকটু তোমার মুখের সামনে নাও। হবে না, because you got the blur. That's those of us with a blur filter, I think একটু সমস্যা হয়ে যাচ্ছে ক্যামেরাতে. There you go. My goodness, I love the sunglasses.
Because I always find them like angry and they're like too cool. No, they don't even care about the doctors.
So with that, I would like to introduce the session today. And our session today is, I think all of you already know this, so I don't know why I'm repeating, but it is this: storytelling and Swayong. So I have co-founded an organization called Swayong. Our founder achen amar sathe my supreme leader Shatil. And আজকের সেশনটা হবে Unlearning Gender Bias Through Storytelling. So while we যেটা করলাম, যেটা আমরা দেখলাম, যে ছবিটা যে এঁকেছি, আমরা অনেকেই যেহেতু অলরেডি জানি আজকের সেশনটা কি নিয়ে, তাই হয়তোবা we've sort of proactively pushed ourselves into thinking যে অনেকেই বলেছে যে আমি চেহারাটা খালি রেখেছি so that both genders can be doctors and nurses. কিন্তু ধরো আমাদের এই সেশনটা যদি আমরা টপিকটা আগে না জানতাম, imagine if you went out into the streets of Dhaka and asked the same thing. কারো হাতে একটা কাগজ দিয়ে যে প্লিজ ভাই একটা ডাক্তার আঁকেন, একটা নার্সের ছবি আঁকেন. The chances are, who do you think যে কোন জেন্ডারকে মানুষ ইউজুয়ালি ডাক্তার আঁকবে আর কোন জেন্ডারকে ইউজুয়ালি মানুষ নার্স আঁকবে? Just spit it out. You can unmute yourself and I want to just hear this. যে usually আমরা যখন ডক্টর বলি, which gender do you think most people would draw?
The majority would go for the guy to be a doctor and the woman to be a nurse.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lavanya. Do we all agree? Sharon Datta has raised their hand as well.
Yeah.
কি হবে, কোনটা হবে? So এই যে আমাদের মাথায় অলরেডি একটা যে থট চলে আসে আমরা যখন শুনি ডক্টর, বা এরকম আরো রিসার্চ হয়েছে, somebody asked a full classroom of kids to draw pilots. আমি তো দুটো বলেছি, অনেকে শুধু পাইলট আঁকতে বলেছে, and everybody, almost everyone in that classroom drew a male pilot because তখন পর্যন্ত they had never seen or met a female pilot. So when you imagine and when you close your eyes and imagine a pilot, the gender that shows up automatically in your head and in your imagery, ওই জেন্ডারটাকে আমরা যে ভাবছি বিকজ ওইটা তার প্রফেশন, আমরা সেটা নিয়ে কথা বলবো। যে জেন্ডার স্টেরিওটাইপ করছি, জেন্ডার বায়াস যে হয়ে যাচ্ছে, আই এম বায়াসড টুয়ার্ডস ওয়ান জেন্ডার, যে আমি যখন পাইলট ভাবি, মাই ব্রেন বা মাই হেড, মাই ইমাজিনেশন অটোমেটিক্যালি টেকস মি টু মেল। এটা কেন হয় এবং এটা কিভাবে হয়, and how do we come out of this is what we will talk about today, and how stories can help us overcome all these biases that we have. So let's start with a quiz. I like how this session is turning out to be a classroom today. So, and I hope that's okay. So you've got your piece of paper already. You don't really need 2 columns. All I need is some answer to likbe, and then আমি যখন answer টা বলে দিব, just keep a score of how many you've got right. Are we ready? Thumbs ups. Can I see some thumbs up so I know that you're all ready? Thank you, Shan. I saw Shan showed me a thumbs up. So, okay. First one. This is going to be exciting. This is super fun. What is the national tree of Bangladesh? Jackfruit tree, mango tree. Please do not put your answer in the chat box. That would be cheating. While you're answering that, আমি chat room টাতে ঢুকে দেখলাম যে somebody was saying, Rehab or Rahma, a common thing that I face here is বাংলাদেশে যে এই যে sister আপা, yeah, sister, nurse কে অনেক সময় আমরা দেখা যায় নার্সও ডাকা হয় না, আমরা ধরেই নেই সে একজন sister. Sister is মানে ওয়ার্ডটাই চলে আসছে যে it's a synonymous word for nurses. Okay, the answer is, আমাদের এখানে রিঅ্যাকশন বাটনটা যে আছে, once you're done, if you could just quickly show me a thumbs up, তাহলে I'll know যে কয়জনের হয়ে গেছে and we can move on. The answer is mango tree. So even though the fruit is jackfruit, the tree হচ্ছে আমাদের বাংলাদেশের national tree হচ্ছে mango tree. Next one, we'll make it a little harder this time. What is sex? You have 2 options here. Sex is the socially defined characteristics according to people's physiology and reproductive traits. The other option is, sex refers to the biological and physiological characteristics that define humans as female or male. These sets of biological characteristics are not mutually exclusive, as there are individuals who possess both. So what I'm asking is, আমরা যখন ওই যে ফর্ম ফিল আপ করি তখন ওখানে লেখা থাকে sex, what are they asking? And what is the meaning of this word? The answer to this one is option 2. It refers to the biological and physiological characteristics. মানে পুরোপুরি শারীরিক যে বিষয়টা সেটা হচ্ছে আমাদের, আমরা সেটাকে সেক্স বলে থাকি, যে it depends on the organs that you have, what kind of biological traits are you showing, and এই যে biological characteristics গুলো, এগুলো mutually exclusive না। অনেকের মধ্যে আমরা দেখে থাকি যে there's people who actually have both. I'm sorry, Taha, I don't know how to help you. Tahia, if you could please help Taha. The next one, because once we talked about sex, the next one is gender. এই দুটোকে আমরা অনেক সময় synonymously use করি বা replace, একটা দিয়ে আরেকটা replace করে use করি, but there is a very big difference between these 2 words. So which of these options is the correct meaning of the word gender? Socially constructed roles, behaviors, attributes that a society considers appropriate for people, or physical differences between people who are male, female, or intersex. Okay. The answer is the first option, socially constructed. So আমরা এখনই দুটো ডেফিনেশন থেকে বুঝে যাব যে what is the difference between sex and gender. Sex often আমরা এই দুটোকে প্রায়ই যে এক করে ফেলি, অনেক জায়গায় লেখা থাকে একই রকম ভাবে যে what I said, they use the term interchangeably, but that is incorrect because sex refers to the physical characteristics and gender refers to একটা হচ্ছে internal আর একটা external. Gender is what society tells us how we need to be. যে okay, this is your sex, therefore these should be your personality traits. So আমরা যখন physical traits and roles, behavior, attitudes, relationships এইগুলো যখন আমরা এক করে ফেলি বা দুটাকে যখন দিয়ে দেই সেটা হয়ে যায় জেন্ডার, যে এই সেক্সের মানুষের এইরকম এরকম অ্যাট্রিবিউটস থাকতে হবে, and that's where the gender stereotyping begins, but we'll get to that in a bit. Question 4, there you go. What is gender stereotyping? Overgeneralization of characters, differences, and attributes of a certain group based on their gender, thinking everyone has the same characteristics and personalities. আমরা যখন জেন্ডার স্টেরিওটাইপ ওয়ার্ডটা ইউজ করি তার মানে কি আমরা বলে দিচ্ছি যে সবাই সমান, সবাই একভাবে ব্যবহার করবে, এটাই হচ্ছে স্টেরিওটাইপ, যে অ্যাজ আ হিউম্যান বিইং দিস ইজ হাউ পিপল শুড বিহেভ, নাকি আমরা যখন একটা সার্টেন গ্রুপকে একটা সার্টেন অ্যাট্রিবিউট দিয়ে ডিফাইন করে দিচ্ছি? Which one is gender stereotyping? I'm going to start cold calling and see what the answers are. Ashfia, what do you think is the answer to this one?
I think the answer is one.
Okay, you think the answer is one. Munshatia.
I also think the answer is one.
I think number one is becoming popular here. Sanjida Sultana.
Yeah, I've also chosen one.
You've also chosen one. There you go. So that's scientifically, আমরা usually তিনজন হয়ে গেলে বলি যে okay, so we've reached a statistically significant number. So there you go. We think overgeneralization of characteristics. Overgeneralization মানে কি? I actually want to hear from you. What does it mean by overgeneralization of characters? Based on can somebody give me an example? Raise your hand if you can give me an example of a gender stereotype. যে এরকম একটা ট্রেট বলো যেটা আমরা জেনারেলি অ্যাট্রিবিউট করে দেই টু ওয়ান সেক্স অর দি আদার। ফাউজিয়া নুপুর? ফাউজিয়া?
আসলে আমাদের সমাজে এটা ধরেই নেওয়া হয় যে মেয়ে মানুষ মানেই তার হচ্ছে গিয়ে পিঙ্ক কালার পছন্দ হবে, আর ছেলে মানুষ মানেই হচ্ছে গিয়ে সে ব্লু বা অন্য কোনো ডার্কিশ কালার পছন্দ করবে। মানে পিঙ্ক বেসিক্যালি মেয়েদের কালার, আর হচ্ছে কি অন্যান্য যে কালার গুলি আছে সেগুলো ছেলেদের কালার। বা এমনও দেখা যায় যে আমরা যখন বাচ্চাদের গিফট করি সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা আলাদা আলাদা করে গিফট দিই। যেমন মেয়ে বাচ্চা হলে তাদের জন্য রান্না করার জিনিসপত্রগুলো দিয়ে আসি, আর ছেলে বাচ্চা হলে দেখা যায় যে রোবট বা প্লেন বা হচ্ছে গিয়ে গান টান এগুলো দিয়ে থাকি। এটাই তো মূলত জেন্ডার স্টেরিওটাইপ।
Yes, absolutely. The pink and blue টা কিন্তু আমরা প্রায় we've all encountered this. আমরা সবাই দেখেছি যে গিফট কিনতে গেলেই যেখানে যাই বাচ্চাদের জন্য it starts so young, রাইট? বড় হতে হতে দেখা যায় যে ততদিনে তো আমরাও এটা নিজেরা আয়ত্ত করে ফেলি, বাট ইট স্টার্টস রিয়েলি ইয়াং, যে আমরা যখন ছোট্ট থেকেই ইভেন ও তো শুধু পিঙ্ক অ্যান্ড ব্লু বললো, ইফ ইউ অ্যাকচুয়ালি ওয়াক ডাউন দ্য টয়েস আইল অফ এনি স্টোর বা যে কোনো মার্কেটে গেলেই মেয়েদের যদি বলি মেয়েদের গিফট দেখান, আর আমরা যদি বলি ছেলেদের গিফট দেখান, হোয়াটস দি আদার ডিফারেন্স উই অলসো সি বিসাইডস পিঙ্ক অ্যান্ড ব্লু? You can tell me. Raise your hand. যে আমরা পিঙ্ক এন্ড ব্লু তো দেখি, শাতিল?
Yeah, we also see like gender toys. Like,
what does that mean?
The boys get like remote controlled cars and airplanes and like army officers or police officers, And for girls, we usually see like bashon, thala bashon, ranna banna korar জিনিসপত্র,
Hari
or
patil.
like a lot of makeup, yeah, hari patil or makeup. So
Okay.
like, and also the like adding on to what Foizia said, যে কালারটাও ওই টয়েস গুলাতে তুমি কালারও দেখবা, যে মেয়েদের ওই টয়েস গুলা প্যাকেজিং এন্ড ব্র্যান্ডিং ইজ মোর টুয়ার্ডস লাইক পিঙ্ক পার্পল, আর ছেলেদের গুলা ইজ লাইক আর্মি প্রিন্ট, ফায়ার, ব্ল্যাক. So we also
Red.
see that.
Yeah, we definitely see that. Somebody we haven't heard from before, Tasnim.
I would actually say the same thing as the one before me. I forgot her name for a second. I'm really sorry. But yes, whenever, like, if we go to a mall and for any reason to buy a gift or to buy you something for myself, even if I go to the girl, there's a section for girls and there's a section for boys. I enter the girls section and I see a burst of colors of pink, hot pink, red, white, and those colors range on toys that start from Barbie to toy sets of kitchen sets, doll houses, and a variety of plushy toys. But if we go to the boys section, instead we are introduced to a very rough, a very, you could say, the color is dim to black, blue, white.
Yeah.
And like we can see
essentially thank you Tasnim. So we all agree যে আমরা colors এর difference দেখছি, এটাই যে আমরা generalize করে দিচ্ছি যে all girls like pink, but all girls must want to play with hari patil, but all boys want to play with airplanes and remote controlled cars and Hot Wheels. কিন্তু আমরা ধরে নিতে পারি না, ভাবতেও কষ্ট হয় যে a boy might like playing with doll houses, and they might like playing with like irons and all that, and girls might like to play with remote controlled cars. I know I did when I was growing up. I've always liked airplanes and cars. But even মেয়েদের section যদি cars and airplanes থাকেও, দেখা যাবে ওই airplaneটাও pink color, right? Even if there is an airplane, that airplane would be pink. আরেকটা জিনিস I want you to think about as well is আমরা যখন যে miniature figurines গুলো দেখি on both sides, the girls toys and boys toys, আমরা যদি ভাগাভাগি করেই ফেলি, I want you to think about how those bodies are represented. যে মেয়েদের toys এর body representation, body image টা কিরকম থাকে, and on the boys end of things, do we think যে either of the genders are getting a more realistic image of body, of human body, when they see the toys? আমরা কি মেয়েদের টয়েস এর ইমেজরি আর ছেলেদের টয়েস এটাকে দেখি কিনা? So something that if we think about, because I don't know the answer actually to this question, যে মেয়েদের টয়েস গুলোতে কি very unrealistic figures থাকে আর ছেলেদের টয়েস গুলোতে কি more real life body image দেখানো হয়? I don't know. So that's something for us to look at next time. What is feminism? That's a word I think we are most often intimidated by. So read the definitions carefully. And I want you to, I'll again cold call on people. যে আমি একটু শুনতে যাবো যে what do you think it is? Which one? The options are almost similar, so I want you to pay close attention. Feminism aims to interrogate inequalities and inequities along the intersectional lines of ability, class, gender, race, sex, and sexuality. And feminists seek to effect change in areas where these intersectionalities create power inequity. অনেক লম্বা একটা sentence. And option 2 is a multidimensional approach to issues of equality and equity based on gender, gender expression, gender identity, sex, and sexuality, as understood through social theories and political activism. Ooh, I like that Taha said guns for boys. That's an interesting selection of toys. Very violent, right? I think we see a lot of violent toys in the boys section. Cannons, tanks, guns. Okay, who wants to take a shot at this one? This is going to be interesting. The definitions are really close. I understand, and I wanted to confuse you, obviously. Does anybody want to volunteer? Or I'm going to cold call again. Nasif, which one do you think is the correct definition of feminism?
I think number 2.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
That's okay. That's the whole point. Cheyenne.
I went with number 1.
You went with number 1. Okay. We've got a bit of haddi larai between 1 and 2. Ahsan Kabir.
I went with 1.
You went with 1. Okay, so those are our 3 answers, and the correct answer is 1. And if I had asked you this question maybe 5 years ago, then 2 would have also been correct. What happened with the definition of feminism and the way we look at it, it has evolved. And the current wave of feminism, or what we currently know as feminism, is intersectional feminism. So আগে যখন আমরা feminism নিয়ে ভাবতাম, শুধুই ভাবতাম যে it's about sex and gender equality. It's about gender identity. It's about sexuality, right? Whether you're a heterosexual or you're a lesbian or gay. So এই gender expression গুলো নিয়ে আগে আমরা ভাবতাম যে all that is feminism is about. যে এগুলার এই সব জিনিসগুলোর equality লাগবে, এগুলার power dynamics change করতে হবে, oppression রাখা যাবে না, and all that. But at the same time, what we forgot, or what we didn't include in our number 2 definition, which is older definition এখন, যে একটা মানুষের gender identity বা gender expression বা একটা overall experience of a life শুধু sex and gender না, কিন্তু আরো অনেক কিছুর উপরে depend করে. For example, your race, your socioeconomic background. Like, for example, if you think about it, how a wealthy woman experiences life or faces oppression, and how a poor woman goes through life, and what kind of oppressions are they facing because of their socioeconomic differences, right? So echoner feminism that tries to incorporate, but for example, a white woman or a white gay person, she kiভাবে, the oppressions that they experience, or a brown gay person. Imagine being gay in America, or being gay in India, or being gay in Bangladesh. So age পারিপার্শ্বিক যে আরো অনেক কিছু আমাদের factors থাকে, and all of that adds to our either experience of oppression or experience of power, right? And there's the difference of power that's created not just because of your gender, but because of all these other environmental external factors. এই সবগুলো factorsকে একসাথে এনে, and we're looking at not just, oh, men oppress women, oh, that's like the definition, that's why we need feminism. No, we look at feminism needs to look at women of color. Feminism needs to look at women who are also lesbians. Feminism needs to look at poor women and rich women. এই অনেকগুলো জিনিসকে একসাথে আনাটা হচ্ছে the current feminism is trying to do. And that's why, like, those who answered 2, you're not wrong. It's just an older definition. The current definition is the number 1, which is intersectionality. Intersectional মানে হচ্ছে এটা যে অন্য অনেক ফ্যাক্টরস একসাথে মিলে যখন কাজ করে, সেটাকে আমরা intersectional বলি. The next one is, I don't know why my cursor doesn't move. What is patriarchy? I know we hear that word a lot. I'm sure some of us have, some of us may have never heard it. Depending on our life experiences, some of us hear it every day and some of us never have. So what is patriarchy? Is it a system of social structures and practices in which women dominate, oppress, and exploit men? Or is it an institutionalized social system in which men dominate over others, but can also refer to dominance over women specifically? It can also extend to a variety of manifestations in which men have social privileges over others to cause exploitation or oppression. Nilima, which one do you think is the correct definition of patriarchy?
I think it's the second one. The second one. Number 2.
Number 2. All right. Ohona.
I'll go with the second one too.
You'll go with the second one as well.
Yeah.
Samin Wasik.
I would also go with the second one.
You'll also go with the second one. Well, that's a 3-on-3. The answer is the second option, yes. Because I think it is what it says. And আমাদের এটা যেটা বুঝতে হবে, আমরা যখন patriarchy wordটা শুনি, it's a system. When we say it's not a person. A person can be patriarchal, yes. But patriarchy is a system. It's a structure. It's embedded in all decisions. যখন আমরা বলি যে the system is patriarchal, it is embedded in every process, at every stage and every phase. And all of that layers together form exploitation. So either men oppress women, সেটাও হতে পারে, অথবা men generally feel a lot of power, but they exert a lot of power in the society, in the system, সেটাও হতে পারে. Specifically, but not men, but women being dominated by a certain system and being oppressed by that system, সেটাকেও আমরা বলতে পারি. Because we cannot blame just the men, right? It's not just the men, it's the system. So no one man is responsible for the entire oppression of women. But how do they play a part in the system? And how does gender stereotyping and gender bias lead us towards patriarchy, towards exploitation, towards oppression? That is something that we'll consider today. যে আমরা কিভাবে gender bias গুলো দিয়ে একটা patriarchal system create করছি। But gender stereotype করে আমি একটা role and attribute ওকে দিয়ে বললাম যে okay, this is what you do. And আমি যখন ওকে এটা করতে বলছি, এটা করার মাধ্যমে কিভাবে আমি ওকে আরো oppress করে ফেলছি। And that is something that we need to sort of think about while we're looking at these questions and discussing this. Fill in the blanks. -% of women in Bangladesh are constantly being sexually harassed on the road, in vehicles, in educational institutions, at work, and even at home. 34%, 84%. How many percent of women do you think are facing harassment in public places, or actually private or public places? Sexual harassment. Saleh Sajjad? What do you think the answer is?
Apu, I think the answer is second one.
Okay, 84%. That's a little scary. Tulika. Tulika? Okay, Rion.
I'm not sure. I knew that there are more of 63% women in Bangladesh are constantly being sexual harassed. So I think I should go for number 2.
Rushava?
Same, number 2.
Same, number 2. The correct answer is number 2. It is 84%. And as outrageous as that sounds, as you know, that means আমাদের আজকের এখানে participants যদি আমরা 30 জন থাকি, if we look at the number of men and women that we are, 84% of the women here would have faced sexual harassment in public or private places. And the numbers are insane, like when you think about it. যে এই যে 30 জনের মধ্যে থেকে যদি আমরা 84% বের করে আনি of the women, like how crazy that is. যে I can ask the girls here if they've ever spoken to another girl who hasn't faced it. I know I haven't. Mane, if you asked me or any random girl here, have you ever met somebody and spoken to another girl who hasn't experienced some form of harassment in their entire course of lifetime? Do you know one person? I can see a lot of nodding heads, lots of shaking going on. As a woman, do you know another woman who would say, Jana, amar sathe no form of harassment has ever taken place? Nope. Sabah has a little visitor. Yeah, And that's something that's a very uncomfortable reality for us to sit on. Number 8, does gender stereotyping hurt men?
একটু ইন্টারাপ্ট করছি সেটা হচ্ছে যে am I audible?
Yeah.
আমাদের রংপুর থেকে 2-3 জন জয়েন করেছে, ওদের শুনতে অসুবিধা হচ্ছে দেখে when they're looking at the questions ওরা অ্যানসারটা চ্যাটে
দিয়ে
দিচ্ছে।
দিচ্ছে।
So ওটা just
That's okay.
হ্যাঁ
জাকির আমি দেখেছি। হ্যাঁ, does gender stereotype hurt men? I see Shatil has written in the chat box that I remember a man saying women don't face harassment. I love that a man said that. Of course, he would know so much more than women about women's experience. Yes, it does. That he is there with an interesting perspective. The answer is, I actually don't want the answer. I don't want to give away the answer. I want to ask some of you. Let me go find Sanjita Sultana.
Yes, they do.
Why? How does it hurt men?
I'm not sure actually.
Well, then you said yes. What made you say yes?
Not all of them are like, I guess, bad. So some men are woke. It might hurt them.
Okay. We'll see what some of the other people think, and then we're getting lots of responses. Yes, it does. I see Laiba has said that yes, it does. Laiba, do you want to please explain why you think so? Naki Laibar audio কাজ করছে না। I'll go ask somebody else. Rehab.
I would like to go for yes, actually.
But why?
I actually see that in my home. My brothers get hurt.
Amra যখন Sabah is saying the whole notion that men don't cry. আমরা কিন্তু এর আগে যখন attributes নিয়ে কথা বলছিলাম, I think somebody in the chat box একটা লিখেছিল যে ওর ভাইকে অনেক শুনতে হয় কেন ওর চুল লম্বা, right? Why does he have such long hair? And that must not be a nice feeling. So আমরা যখন gender stereotype বলি how it hurts men, because we put all this pressure on men, right? To be guns blazing, to be strong and powerful, to be this unhurtable, like okay, ব্যথা দেওয়া যায় না. I see Lavanya, you've got your hands raised. Go ahead.
In my experience, what I have found that the ways, not just hair or a decision specifically, what I have seen that when they have tried to make a difference out of their experiences for the women in their life, they weren't able to do it quite properly because, you know, the society said, why would you do that? So this kind of stereotyping actually stopped them from making it quite a difference. এমন না যে কেউ চেঞ্জ করতে পারে নাই। Obviously, we have come a long way, both men and women. But যদি ছেলেদেরকে এভাবে stereotype না করা হয়তো, probably the situation would have been much more in our favors. যে আমাদেরকে help করা হোক, আমাদেরকে আগায় নিয়ে যাওয়া হোক, that would have been much more easy. And it has been equally hurtful for the person who also tried to, you know, make the world a better place for the women as well. Not just women, the men as well. That's why I think that stereotyping hurts men as
well. Sabah?
Yes, well, I believe that it really does hurt men because since they're really pushed to be these non-emotional creatures, they forget that anger is an emotion as well, because bottling up all those emotions just makes them take it out on people around them. And makes them take really bad decisions.
It makes them vulnerable as well, of course, but they're not
Yes.
able to admit that it makes them vulnerable, and then they're stuck in this cycle. And
Yes.
we have a lot of men, like for example, like আমরা যখন টয়স নিয়ে কথা বলছিলাম, রাইট? কোনো একটা বাচ্চা ছেলে যদি এখন হাড়ি পাতিল নিয়ে খেলতে চায়, and they want to, play those kind of games, and they want to, let's say they really enjoy cooking and wants to play with that, but সাথে সাথে দেখা যায় মা বাবা ওকে একটা ধমক দিচ্ছে, বকা দিচ্ছে, they're experiencing a lot of trauma regarding this thing that they want to do, right, but are not able to because ছেলেরা তো হাড়ি পাতিল নিয়ে খেলে না, right? And ছেলেদের তো হাড়ি পাতিল নিয়ে খেলার কথা না. And while we're answering these questions, we're at a good place right now to talk about this. যে আমাদের শুরুতেই বলেছিলাম সেশনটা about gender bias and storytelling. খেয়াল করবো আমরা যখনই একটা এক্সাম্পল দিচ্ছি, we're drawing from a story from our own lives. আমার ভাইকে বলেছে ওর চুল লম্বা, আমি আমার বাসায় আমার ভাইকে দেখেছি কষ্ট পেতে, and then all these examples, think of all the examples and reasonings যেটা আমরা আজকে এখন ডিসকাশন করছি, they're all rooted in a life experience. আমরা হয়তোবা আমাদেরকেও কেউ বলেছে, কোন একটা আমাদের মধ্যেই বলেছে যে না মেয়ে মানুষের এটাই খেলনা, মেয়েরা এটা দিয়েই খেলে, হয়তো আমাদেরকেও কেউ বলেছে যে না তোমার জন্য পিঙ্ক জামাটাই তোমার, and think about this, যে আমরা যখন এই এক্সাম্পলস গুলো নিয়ে ভাবি বা জেন্ডার স্টেরিওটাইপ গুলো যে ভাবছি, what are our own real life examples, যে আমার জীবনে এই ঘটনাটা ঘটেছে and therefore আমি এটা তখন এটা বুঝতে শিখেছি, তখন বুঝলাম যে এটা স্টেরিওটাইপ, তখন বুঝলাম যে এটা bias. Most of our opinions and thoughts and feelings are rooted in very real experiences. And experience যখন বলি, I'm not talking about something 6 months long, একটা larger than life কিছু, a moment, in one single moment of harassment, let's say, that's an experience. And our thoughts and ideas about sexual harassment and exploitation and even public spaces are defined by that one moment or by that experience. So as you think about gender bias, my stereotypes, think about your moments in your life that have created these thoughts, that have created these ideas, and how you formed them. These opinions that you have today, what's the life experience, what's the story that led to this opinion? Because we're almost at the end of these questions and we're going to start talking about these things. So yeah, how do we unlearn it? আমারও তো দেখা যায় অনেক সময় আমি কি বলি না, আমরা কি এখনো মনে হয় যে do we catch ourselves? What does that mean? How do you unlearn gender bias? Through matriarchy, where female members are given the power and they have more social and political power than male members? Or does it start with you? The answer to this one, honestly, is very simple. Of course, it starts with me. Because do not think that feminists, the gender equality activists, they're not fighting for matriarchy. They're not. We do not want, we do not want to just switch the table and go, okay, so now men oppressed women all these years, so now women will oppress men. Oppression is another form of oppression, is not the answer. But আমরা যখন gender bias নিয়ে ভাবি, the first work before changing the world is changing my own implicit biases. আমি কি আমার কোনো এখন যদি if my friend has a baby and I go to buy a gift, আমি কি ছেলেটার জন্য প্লেন কিনছি আর মেয়েটার জন্য হাড়ি পাতিল কিনছি কিনা? And can I catch myself in that moment and catch that bias within myself and change the narrative? আমি কি কোনো একটা মেয়েকে বলছি কিনা যে 11টা পর্যন্ত অফিস করবে, মানে এটা বললেই তো আমি বুঝে গেলাম যে আমি একটা বায়াস থেকে এই কথাটা বলেছি, রাইট? মেয়েদের তো এটা, মেয়েরা ল্যাবে কাজ করবে, the moment you say that or even think that, catch yourself in those moments and change that narrative, and that's how you can break down and unlearn your own implicit biases. আমি যত চিৎকার করি, all the activists in the world, all the policies in the world cannot break down and dismantle gender stereotype or gender bias unless we put in the work in our own heads, right? It starts with you and it starts with me, not just you. আমার নিজেরও এখন I have to catch myself in moments, absolutely, just because I work with it. Rishabh is talking about aggression. Yes, This is a fun one. And this is the sort of towards the end. Consider if these statements perpetuate gender stereotypes. So they're just really yes and no. When making decisions, men tend to be more rational than women. Chat box answers. This one, I think I would like to see. What do you think? To number 1. When making decisions, men tend to be more rational than women. Do we agree, disagree? Do we think this is a gender stereotype or is it a fact? The answer is, so if you are saying yes, that means it is a gender stereotype. And if you say no, that means it's not a gender stereotype. And let's say it's a fact. I see a lot of, I see 2 answers. Nilima said yes. Munshatia has also said yes. It is a stereotype, Rion. Have we heard this? How many of us have heard this, that men are more rational, women are more emotional? Yeah, Taya has got both hands up. I can see Taya going, yep. Yep, I see Labonno's hands as well. We're all the time that women are emotional. We can't be good leaders because we're emotional. Men are so rational and level-headed and calm. All these things that we've heard, right? Next one. Women cannot succeed in professions such as engineering. মেয়ে মানুষের বুয়েটা পড়ার কি দরকার? Absolutely. Yep. It is a big gender stereotype because last time I checked, you do not need either a penis or a vagina to go to engineering school. So as long as you don't need those biological organs for that specific field of study, it shouldn't matter whether you're a male or female studying engineering, right? We're not denying that male-female biological characteristics are different. Bueta keno porba, now she's the top student. Well, there you go. Keno porba, ki dorkar? Meye manusher engineer hote hobe na. It's a male, okhane gele shudhu raat jege construction site, civil engineering korlei bolbe je construction er okhane khali beta manushra thakbe, okhane kaj korte hobe. রাস্তাঘাট ফিল্ডে যেতে হবে। ইঞ্জিনিয়ার হলে, সিভিল টাইপের ইঞ্জিনিয়ার হলে ফিল্ডে যাওয়া লাগবে, ঢাকার বাইরে যেতে হবে। মেয়েদের দরকার নাই। I didn't want to study engineering because I suck at math. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Rehab has made a comment, but that's the thing though. It is a fact when you have not given them the opportunity, but they haven't gotten the opportunity. But আমরা যখন বলি যে they cannot succeed, তার মানে আমরা বলছি যে ওকে opportunity দিলেও, if they're given all the resources, তাও পারবে না। Because for like I said, যে unless you need either one of those reproductive organs to do any of that, I don't see why not. It is more worthwhile to send boys to school than girls. I know this is probably not a statement যেটা আমাদের socioeconomic, যেহেতু most of us who are here have had the privilege of education, so and our families are from a certain mindset. So হয়তোবা আমাদেরকে শুনতে হয় নাই. But have we heard this in life? মানুষকে বলতে যে মেয়ে মানুষকে স্কুলে পাঠিয়ে কি হবে? I see Tasnim is nodding যে ছেলেদেরকে স্কুলে পাঠাবো, মেয়েদেরকে স্কুলে পাঠানোর দরকার নাই. Is that a gender stereotype? I see Tasnim is still nodding. Yes, she thinks it's a gender stereotype. Do we think it's a gender stereotype? The boys get more out of school, it's more worthwhile for them than girls. That's actually a really good point, Shati, that this is why most girls are made to drop out from schools and focus on household chores. Yes, it occurs in villages, Sabah, you're right. I think it's very common for people to feel that way, and that's why we have child marriages. Rion?
Apu, I want to share something.
Yes, of course.
আমি রিসেন্টলি একটা ওয়ার্কশপে জয়েন করেছিলাম, ওখানে দেখানো হলো যে আমাদের দেশে ম্যাক্সিমাম যদি গার্ল স্টুডেন্টদেরকে ধরা হয় তাহলে তারা ঝরে পড়ে ক্লাস 5 এর আগে, এবং যদি এস্টিমেটটা হচ্ছে আরো উপরে নিয়ে যাওয়া যায় আরো উপরের লেভেলে, তাহলে দেখা যাচ্ছে ইন্টারের পরে বা হচ্ছে এই এসএসসি এর পরে ছেলেরা বেশি ঝরে যায়। সো দ্যাট মিনস যদি গার্লসদেরকে অপরচুনিটি দেওয়া হয় তাহলে হচ্ছে ঝরে না পড়ার সংখ্যাটা হচ্ছে কমে যাচ্ছে গার্লসদের ক্ষেত্রে। আর যেহেতু ওই যে মেয়েদেরকে ম্যারিং অফ করতে হবে, ছেড়ে দিতে হবে, পড়তে না দেওয়ার যে অপরচুনিটিটা এটা দেওয়া হয় না দেখে আরো আগে ক্লাস 5 এর থেকেই দেখা যাচ্ছে গার্লসরা বেশি ঝরে পড়ছে।
Absolutely. Cheyenne, would you like to share a little bit about that story?
I don't. I mean, I've only heard this story because I was too young to remember it. I mean, I was too young. I wasn't really there when any of it happened. But my sister, this is my older sister. Like, she's the oldest, so she basically was like one of the first ones to sit for the exams. So my uncle thought that as she was a girl, it was not really important for her to sit for her A levels. I mean, she could just like O levels was enough education for her. And obviously it's not something any of my sisters, like the younger sisters, have to go through, because you know everyone has sat for their O levels and A levels. But she was the first one, she had to, like, you know, she had to convince to an extent. I mean, my uncle did get really angry, because I mean every relative that I had was like tara mane ekdomi chachchilo na, like, for my sister to give her A levels, because you know because first financial issues, and because she was a girl, I mean it kind of added on to the reasoning. But ওইটার কারণে, like, what happened is they just didn't ওইটার কারণে আমার আপুকে অনেক বাজে বাজে কথা বলা হয়েছিল. I can't really say it because we're in a professional setting, but a lot of bad things were said to her. But you know, she's a fighter. She fought until the very end, and she did really well in her A levels. She actually had one of the best results in the family. So I mean, whatever happened happened for the best. So
yeah,
but that's something that she had to go through, and thankfully, because
no, I was just asking whether your family would have said those same things had she been a boy. If she were, তখনও কি financial issues হলেও তখনও কি তাকে বলতো কি?
No, not at all. No, not at all. I feel like if my sister were a boy, I feel like things would have been very different. Because I have an older brother, and he gave his O levels. He gave his A levels, and he was older than my sister, and there was no problem whatsoever in like having him sit for the exams. But when it came to my sister, suddenly a financial issue came in place, and like they were looking for excuses, and when it was not even necessary. But yeah, I mean, now she is one of the top, and she's actually the co-founder of Shop Up. So I mean, she's doing really well for herself.
Well, I guess we're all lucky that she went and took this, sat for her A levels.
Yeah.
I think the world is better off.
I'm very proud of her.
Very proud.
Yeah, for
good
sure.
for her. That's that. Thank you for sharing that, Cheyenne. And I think it's funny that you said this right after Rion's example, right? যে মেয়েরা opportunity দিলে ঝড়ে কম, but otherwise ঝরে পড়ে. And I think your sister is also in a prime example of that. যে ওকে ঝরে পড়তে দেওয়া হয় নাই, and therefore she went on to succeed and, like, you know, and achieve many things one after another. So thank you for sharing that story. This is an interesting one, the next one. A girl's appearance matters more than a boy's. I am assuming that raising hands means that you think this is a gender stereotype. Yes. Thank you, Nilima, Cheyenne. They all think this is a, resounding yes. Girls' appearances are given socially. Rupa, it feels like you have a lot to say about this. Would you like to share some thoughts about what do you mean by this? Yeah, girls' appearance matters more than a boy's.
Well, I think it's not just in terms of appearance in family or any event. Like, your family always puts something more pressure on that look good when you are going to a public event. Even I've realized there is a very stereotype in terms of career setup. Like, for example, if a girl wants to be a leadership role or management team, they have to have certain image or body figure. They have to be very tall, so that people can feel their weight rather than how much skill they have. So this is something being as a HR, I always see happening everywhere. Even I face something like that similar in my workplace sometimes. So we always have to constantly prove ourselves that we are worthy of the position, or please give us the opportunity. It's not just my size or my gender. So this is a constant fight to prove yourself for the
And it's
wall.
funny that women's appearances are almost considered another qualification. Like for men, that's generally not the case. And therefore we consider this a gender stereotype, is like a better, it matters more about how a woman appears than it matters as much for a man, right? The clothes they wear, থেকে শুরু করে, the way they present themselves, even so much so যে men can get away with a lot more, right? And that women can't. We have to always look presentable, always look a certain way, always sort of, you know, meet the next beauty standard and meet the last beauty standard, and all of that together. And I think we can talk about this for hours, but yes, we all agree that this is definitely a gender stereotype, because it really doesn't matter what somebody looks like. That is the least fascinating thing about somebody, right? About how they look. The birth of a boy is more important than that of a girl. Yeah, lots of hands coming up that birth of a boy is considered more important. Shatil?
Yeah, so for the fifth point, the birth of a boy. So I'm a colleague, I'm a office. So I knew his wife was expecting, and they were expecting. So, and then I think she office asked me because she was already in delivery. So she didn't office আসে না। So পরের দিন যখন অফিসে আসে, কলিগরা আমরা তো বলি যে ভাই মিষ্টি কই, আজকে ট্রিট দেন, খাওয়াবেন না এরকম। So আমিও তাকে I just told him যে ভাই কি হলো, বাবু হলো, মিষ্টি কই, বলে তো মেয়ে হয়েছে। So no mishti for us colleagues, sadly. So imagine the life of that child.
Oh, that breaks my heart. Thank you for that story. It's Lavonno, yeah, it is really sad. Sabah has brought up a very interesting point, the history of honor killing, because girls' lives are expendable. Girls' lives are disposable. Girls' lives are less valuable than boys' lives. And there's a lot of background to that, right? Is that girls don't earn, or they weren't supposed to, they weren't meant to. So therefore it was more expensive on the parents or on the household to have a girl than a boy. And therefore we started valuing, আমরা honor killing দেখেছি. But the other one, the flip side to that is infanticide, right? যেখানে or forced abortions, যেটা অনেক ক্ষেত্রেই হয়, যে I think global একটা estimate আছে where 24 million girls have not been born because of forced abortions once people figured out that the child was a girl. So we have a lot less women in the world today than we otherwise would have, just because they were killed off, or they were killed off as children, they were killed off as babies, or their parents chose to have an abortion because it was a girl. Specifically, it was a girl. This is not to say that all abortions, no, none of that, because with Roe v. Wade, we're not going there. But this is about choosing and forced abortions when the baby is a girl. So we always have to, I had to counsel a father and mother-in-law once in my gynae ward. They were just standing emotionless, so pissed. So they were essentially just angry at the fact that there was a girl. And Chatil's colleague, I think, also probably was just annoyed. Can you imagine being annoyed that you've just had a child and that child is a girl? Crime, yeah, female infanticide in India is actually a big problem. Bangladeshe ekটু কম, but India it's actually a really big issue. আমাদের দেশে অবশ্য genital mutilation খুব একটা আমরা অতটা শুনি না. It's a more of an African problem, but নাই একেবারে আমি জানবো না, but That's not generally a concern for us, but there you go. The last one, women are meant to nurture and men are meant to provide. মাতৃসুলভ নারী, মাতৃত্বের নারী, মমতাময়ী নারী, কোমলমতি নারী. Think of all the words, all these adjectives we hear before nari. How often do you hear shoktishali nari? How often do you hear sarthok, joggo nari? But even census hocche na. I have a story about this actually. Census hocche, and somebody was, when people ask যে আপনাদের বাসায় head of the house by head of the family কে, and a friend of mine kept answering, or their child kept answering that it's their mother. Every time 3-4 বার জিজ্ঞেস করেছে, kept saying mother. Finally the census person, the researcher ended up asking যে না না আপনার বাবার নাম বলেন. So প্রথমে যখন head of the family বলেছে, অটোমেটিক অ্যাজাম্পশনই ছিল যে বাচ্চাটা বাবার নামই বলবে, বাট বাচ্চাটা বাবার নাম তো বলে নাই। And that's why this is a gender stereotype, কারণ আমরা ধরেই নিয়েছি যে only one gender gets to be the head of the family and gets to provide for the whole family, right? So women are meant to nurture. What does that norom and gorom nari even mean? I'm not even going to ask you to explain that. Shatil, go take that and do whatever you will with that. So women are meant to nurture. Arekta ekhane, you can tell me how the burden of nurturing and motherhood is used as a form of exploitation or as a form of oppression. If you think about the way we glorify motherhood and the way we glorify women's nature and role of nurturing, and that is used to manipulate them in many families for them to stay home, for them to not study, for them to not work. So we kind of glorify these traits, and it sounds like, oh, কত ভালো ভালো কথা বলছে, right? নারী মা, নারী মায়ের মতো মাতৃত্বের, all these other things, কত মানে it feels so glorified. But the flip side to that is sometimes that glory is used as a mechanism to keep you from doing other things or anything else. এতটাই glorify করা হচ্ছে that you just assume, girls grow up thinking যে এটাই আমার nature, এটাই আমার করার কথা. So আমি বুয়েটে বা ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং পড়তে যাবো যে এটা তো ভাববোই না আমি, বিকজ আমি তো ধরিয়ে নিয়েছি যে আমাকে তো বড় হয়ে I have to be the nurturer, I have to be the caregiver, I have to be the mother, right? And the concept of nurturing is questioned on the basis might or might not having children in the future. Yeah, there you go. A lot of women are also questioned whether they're human if they say they don't want children, right? What's wrong with you? Like, this is the immediate question, is when you say I don't want children, when somebody says I don't want children, the second question they ask is, what's wrong with you, right? And because they assume as a woman you should want to have children, how can you not? And that's
can
how,
I add to that?
yeah, of course, Lavanya.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
okay. The reality is I'm extremely in love with children. I mean, everything about it makes me very happy. And in my bad days, I actually look for a children to cuddle. So that is some of the thing I look for. But whenever I mention to any person, to educated, to a non-educated, or wherever it is, whenever I say that maybe probably I might or might not have a children in the future, the first question is that, don't you like children? Don't you love children? And the second question is,
you
okay,
evil
oh my
person.
God, are you too tensed about the providing? It's like when I'm imagining my life, at this point, I'm not imagining like, okay, someone will come and save the entire situation. I'm imagining how I will be established and how I will provide for something that I will bring to life. But this concept is severely questioned on a regular basis that, oh my God, probably you don't like children or you're overthinking it too much. But I don't find it, but overthinking is just reality. Just, okay, if I'm going to do it on my own, how would I do it if I didn't think about these things? But no, probably I don't like children that much. So that's the conclusion when they grow in their head and they can probably.
Yeah, you're going against nature. How could you? How dare you? So the last question is, what's the most effective tool to deconstruct gender bias? Statistics or stories? Think of most effective, because they're both tools. I'm getting some answers in the chat box already. Yes, both. Stories, both. Stories, and then stories will help me or encourage me to look into statistics. Yes, Tahia, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, the answer is both, but also the most effective. Think of what I told you before. যে আমরা যখন কারো ঝরে পড়ার গল্প, ঝরে পড়া যদি ধরি, যে girls dropping out of schools, ঝরে পড়া as in girls dropping out of schools, আমাকে যদি কেউ এসে বলে, 73% of girls drop out under 5th grade. That's a random number, I don't know. Would that help me deconstruct my gender bias? নাকি আমাকে যদি কেউ এসে শায়নের বোনের গল্প বলে? What do you think would be the most effective? আমরা কিন্তু ওই যে আগেও দেখে এসেছি 84% women face sexual harassment. Right? 84%, such a crazy number. But would that create more of an impact on my psyche? Or would that make me question system as I know it? Naki, if I hear about the girl who was, pinched on the bus, বা যার কিনা ওই যে চাকু দিয়ে কেটে জামা কেটে নিয়ে চলে গেছে. Or we can go to more extremes, but I don't want to trigger anybody. Like, ওই stories গুলা শুনলে, would that make me question the system more? Yeah, Tahia agrees that Shayan's sister's story would probably have more of an impact on my mind and my emotion, on my thoughts, than just numbers. I like how Lavanya is saying current situation is story because statistics have done their part. Yeah, we've looked at statistics long enough, right? And we haven't been able to do much about it. We need to start putting faces to those numbers. And that's what I and my sister and I try to do through our platform. Their platform naam Swayong. So go ahead, check that out if and when you want to. So the point of Swayong is to give voices to untold stories and to put faces on these numbers. 84% of women I don't know mean nothing. It means something. I kind of hear it, but it doesn't force me to change anything. আমি তো 84% এর মধ্যে না, so আমি safe. আমার বাসার মানুষ তো কেউ 84% এ পড়ে নাই, so আমি safe. It's very easy to detach yourself from numbers, but it's not so easy to detach yourself from faces and names. আমাকে যদি আজকে কেউ এসে বলে যে, সামিন যদি আমাকে এসে বলে, সামিনের একটা স্টোরি, রূপার একটা স্টোরি, one story can do what thousands of numbers can't. And that's why we encourage people to tell stories, to talk to each other. আমরা even বলতে থাকি যে even if it makes people uncomfortable, if my sexual harassment story makes you uncomfortable, then that's a story worth telling, right? Because that discomfort is what will push for change. Change is very uncomfortable. And yeah, what Chatil is saying, I'll remember Shayan's name and his sister's story for a long time. Thank you for sharing that, honestly. It's very fascinating to me that Rion had also just told us, right, statistics about girls dropping out. I don't remember the number. I don't know, some of you might, but I don't remember that number. what was the number that he said? You know, what percent of girls are dropping out under 5th grade? I don't remember, but I will remember the Shapa Papu story for a long time to come. And that's why storytelling, and so these are some of the campaigns that we've worked on breaking down at least as many kinds of biases and stereotypes as we could. We ran a campaign on parental leave. So not just maternity leave, but also paternity leave as well. So এই যে আইডিয়াটা যে প্যারেন্টাল লিভ খালি ম্যাটারনিটি হয়, প্যারেন্টাল লিভ তো প্যাটার্নিটি লিভ বাংলাদেশে কয়জন নেয় কয়জন দেয় is a big question, right? So questioning that stereotype যে no, they're both parents and they'll both take time off, they'll both get time off. আমরা even sexual abuse নিয়ে কাজ করেছি, breastfeeding campaign নিয়ে কাজ করেছি, and all of these. We've also worked on menstrual hygiene, health management as well. We did a big campaign on menstrual cups, and that's another, like all these different gender biases, right? That, oh no, periods are taboo, we cannot talk about it. Actually, a lot of women's issues are considered taboo. So think about how the gender bias works systematically. যে আমরা একটা জিনিস ট্যাবু করে একটা জিনিস অল্প ট্যাবু করি, করতে করতে we've created this whole aura of taboo around women. যে আমরা বলি তো মেয়েদের এত লজ্জা, you know, all the burden of all the shame is placed on girls. মানে ফ্যামিলির লজ্জাও তার, সমাজের লজ্জাও তার, তার নিজের লজ্জাও তার, right? Honor killing যেখান থেকে আসে. So all of these perpetuated, এগুলো সব violence, all these stories because of gender stereotype. Because we think যে এই মানুষটা because of their body parts তার এরকম ব্যবহার করতে হবে, বা এই মানুষটার এই body part নাই তাই সে এইটা করতে পারবে না। এখন so question yourself, share your stories. Sharon, I want you to come and share that story everywhere, and all of you with your stories. And the more you say it, the more uncomfortable you make people, the more change you'll see. Like honestly, at this point, I go into sessions and I just people are going to be so uncomfortable. This is going to be so icky, resistance and hesitation. অনেক কিছু থাকবে, and right after that is change. Immediately after that, discomfort. So we just need to, like, honestly, my message to you is go ahead, make people uncomfortable. Tell your uncomfortable story. It doesn't matter, because people need to hear it. If you have gone through it, then they can spend a few minutes being uncomfortable listening to it. And with that, I would like for you to quickly in the chat box tell me, how are you feeling right now? Those of you who were intimidated, I hope that you're not as intimidated anymore. Those of you who were excited, I hope you got what you were excited for. I'm not seeing any responses in the chat box yet. Inspired, that's a good one. Satisfied. Oh, I like that you feel informed. That is such a nice place to be. Is you don't want to go ahead and just, also don't take my word for it. Go on a self-learning, self-exploration journey. You know, go introspect. What are my biases? You know, what are my stereotypes? আমি কখন কাকে stereotype করছি? Motivated. I see someone did say uncomfortable, enlightened, knowledgeable. Some of you were curious. I hope your mind got what they were looking for as well. I like that. You're not alone, Labuno. You're not alone. So go check out Swayong if you want to. Go share your story. If you want to join us, if you want to volunteer, send us an email, message us, and we'll help you tell your stories. If you have a story to share that you're dying to tell somebody, that is just brewing inside you, come to us. We'll help you put words to that story and to that experience. Oh, somebody said that they're tired. I complain a lot. Yeah, I'm with you, Rehab. Some of us are tired. Sometimes we do get tired. But then I come to these sessions, like I was really tired yesterday, and tired not physically, but like mentally, and exhausted. And especially with the US Supreme Court decision on Roe versus Wade, it took a really big toll on my emotions. So I'm really glad to be taking this session today, right after the decision yesterday. And I am very inspired, and I'm so happy to hear your responses and everything that you've said. Thank you. I will leave you with an assignment. The assignment that I had on here is a terrible one, so I'm not going to give you that one. I want you all, and this is something I want Tahia, you'll be sort of holding them accountable to this. I want you to introduce somebody you know in a paragraph without stereotyping them, without any gender stereotyping. And go submit that to Tahia, and Tahia can pass those on to me. I would say today's Saturday night, so take, Tahia, should we give them 48 hours? Yeah.
That's about right.
Yep. So 48 hours, Tahia, you please send your responses in. Introduce a person, anybody, without using gender stereotypes in a paragraph. And I will take questions, thoughts, and feelings. I'm so happy some of you are feeling so great after this.
Thank you so much for the, thank you so much for the wonderful session. আমরা যেহেতু এখন 10:31 বাজে বাংলাদেশ টাইমে, so আমরা কি 5 minutes নিতে পারি for Q&A as you mentioned?
Yes, exactly. Because আমরা
Is
5
everybody
minutes দেরিতে শুরু করেছি, so আমি এই জন্যই ভাবছি যে we can have, yeah.
Is everybody okay with the 5 minutes extension? If okay, well, just show me a thumbs up so that I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so next 5 minutes will be a Q&A session. Anything that you're feeling. If you want to make Mitul feel uncomfortable with your questions, please do, because we have been encouraged to do so today. And after that, we're going to take 3 to 4 minutes to Nibu, because our founder and CEO Farhanaz and Apu has joined our session from 10 p.m. So we would like her to say something about the session. So anyway, not speaking Bishia, we're going to start with the Q&A. Just unmute yourself and go.
Yeah, or you can type your question into the chat box as well, and then I'll just respond. Rupa?
I don't have any question. Actually, I have a request to make. Can all of us can turn on the camera so that we can take a screenshot with our faces, because some of the picture is just me. So there's gonna be a request. So it will take maybe 30 seconds or 20 seconds. Just turn on your camera. I'm gonna take the screenshot. Thank you so much.
If no, I don't see any questions rolling in. So I'm assuming that this is it. You guys have sort of dismantled gender bias. We've won. go off. We can all sleep in peace tonight.
Thank you so much, Mitul Apu, once again. And thank you so much, Shapil Apu, for being in the session as well. I'm really happy that her will take an invitation and you guys accepted our invitation and at a wholesome, insightful session provide for it. So I have been excited, and personally I have been sitting with notebook. I'm I was like listening to the whole session. So we have Farhanaz and Apu with me. Apu, would you be able to say a few words for everyone in the session?
Hey guys, hi Mitul. Thank you so much for doing this incredible session.
For inviting me.
Of course. I'm so sorry that I couldn't do it the entire time. And also for the situation here, I was running. But yes, this was such an important topic, and as you said, especially after yesterday, where we all feel so broken, so defeated, that we needed something like this to just boost us up, right? See, you did a fantastic job, and what an interactive workshop. We really loved having you. And I really hope that we continue to work together in the same space. And please let us know what we can do. It's a great idea for our class to send you the paragraphs as you asked them to. I think that'll be a good exercise. And also, in the future, we should be doing a lot more together.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. And where are you based, by the way?
I am in Canada, but my sister, Shatil, she's in Dhaka.
Okay, great. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And the entire class, one input I have, I'm so glad that you guys were so interactive, sending her chat questions and, just putting your thoughts out there and also asking questions on camera. But as a rule though, and we hate to use the word rule, being on camera is mandatory. Please make that happen so that she can send you. She's spending so much time and she's spending so much energy to give you some valuable lessons. So she needs to see your faces, okay? So that's the least we can do for her. All right, so that's about it. I literally was blown away at the last part of your presentation. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Farhana.
Okay.
Lovely.
Thank you. And thanks the team.
Absolutely.
You guys rock. Awesome team. Yeah, shout out to all of you. Tahia, Nuha, and Reha. Bye. All right, thank you guys. See you later. Bye.
Thank you so much, Farhanaz and Apu. Thank you once again. Thank you because session was really so good.
Thank you to the people who attended though. You guys were so interactive and you were on your game. It was really lovely. All these thoughts. I mean, ekhono chat I'm just scrolling through because onek kichu miss hoye geche and I'm just reading it. Thank you for your spontaneous participation. That was a really fun session.
So I think এখন 10:37 বাজে and we will conclude our session for tonight. আমি just কয়েকটা কথা বলে দিতে চাই, সেটা হচ্ছে যে মিতুল আপু যে অ্যাসাইনমেন্টটা দিয়েছেন সেটা হচ্ছে কি as usual আমি যেমন ইমেইলে জানিয়ে দিই we're gonna do that and তাছাড়া কিছু tasks and instructions already দিয়েছে, so if you guys have any confusion regarding those, just let me know. If you have any questions regarding this session, সেটাও আমাকে জানাতে পারো. If you want to get connected to Mitul Apu or Shatil Apu, then you can connect with them on LinkedIn and social media. I don't know because social media sometimes that are personal packets, so I'm gonna go with LinkedIn. If you guys want to know about Swayong as well, let me know. And just ask me, bug me with questions. Recording recordingটা we're gonna share with you very soon. So with that note, thanks once again, and I think we can take our leave now.